Okay, so as the second day of the Spring 2024 Research and Innovation Showcase, we have another set of amazing students who have gone above and beyond what we even expect in the LIL program, and we expect some pretty great stuff. So today we're going to hear about oral global health. We're going to talk about the crisis in Venezuela. Food for Thought is one of our most interesting projects, and then some medical and geological information. So first, I would like to welcome Renee Gia to go ahead and start with her project, if that's all right.
Yes, sure. Let me present it really quick.
Take your time.
Are you able to see it? Okay, awesome. So hello, my name is Renee, and this is my presentation on oral health and global health. So this presentation is split into 3 parts. So first, I'll talk about sort of the anatomy and physiology about the oral cavity, just to give like a brief background. And then part 2 is about oral health and its connection with systemic health. And then I'll be examining the global burden of oral diseases and discussing barriers obstructing oral health care around the world, using Saudi Arabia as a case example. So my methodology, so for my research, Google Scholar was the search engine I used to find scholarly resources. Some key terms were oral health, oral microbiome, oral cavity, systemic health, field study, oral health care, and oral health promotion. And in terms of gray literature, I use status reports from the WHO and the CDC to get statistics. And the way referencing is done in this presentation is I just hyperlink it. So there's some words that are underlined. So that's where I've hyperlinked something. So yeah. So the main structures of the oral cavity are the tongue, gums, lips, teeth, and hard and soft palate. For this section, I'm mainly focusing on the tongue, gums, teeth, and the oral microbiome, which isn't a structure, but it's still really important. So the tongue is covered in little bumps that sense temperature and touch, and it's really important in swallowing food and chewing and speaking. The gums surround the base of the teeth and keep them in place, and they shouldn't bleed when brushing or flossing. And the teeth work with the tongue to break down and shape food into a swallowable ball called a bolus. And the oral microbiome hosts over 700 diverse bacterial species, and the presence of a healthy oral biofilm fights against invasion of undesirable stimulants and produces antimicrobial substances that can outcompete pathogens for food. So maintaining good oral health isn't just, keeping your teeth shiny and white, it's everything. So, and it's crucial to avoiding common oral diseases like cavities, gum diseases, and other oral infections. So oral health is a non-communicable disease, which means it's pretty much based on lifestyle. So based on a lot of data, here are the top lifestyle factors that can affect and worsen your oral health. So it's a range of modifiable risk factors that are common to a lot of non-communicable diseases, and they include sugar consumption, tobacco use, alcohol use, poor hygiene, and their underlying social and commercial determinants. Other things that can affect it are calcium deficiencies, lack of fluoridated water, toothpaste, and protein malnutrition, and other unhealthy habits such as not visiting the dentist regularly, not brushing regularly, etc. But lots of these are obviously have their underlying reasons, like unable to visit the dentist. There's a lot of social economical issues with that. So it's not just not brushing, there's a lot of other underlying causes. So, beyond its primary functions of breathing, eating, and speaking, oral health is linked to a lot of other aspects of health. So, to start, imbalances in the oral microbiome can cause conditions like periodontal or gum disease, which is basically chronic inflammation of the gums. The inflammatory mediators are produced in response to inflammation that might enter the bloodstream from the mouth and contribute to systemic inflammation. And inflammation is a known factor in the development of atherosclerosis, which is a key component of cardiovascular diseases. And again, bacteria from the oral cavity inhaled and spread to other parts of the body can also potentially impact respiratory health. And individuals with compromised immune systems are most at risk for this. And then, of course, you have, the same risk factors for oral diseases like smoking and tobacco use. They're the same risk factors for other systemic conditions. So that also sort of, you know, is an increased risk. So all of this highlights the need to incorporate oral health into disease prevention initiatives because, they are very common and they have a lot of shared risk factors. And lastly, an individual's oral health has a huge impact on their quality of life. So, having poor oral health can affect the ability to chew, leading to nutritional deficiencies. It's also very detrimental socially. People with damaged teeth can become very self-conscious. A study showed that nearly 20% of working adults and 30% of those with lower income report that the appearance of their mouth and teeth affected their ability to interview for a job. So it really does have an impact on your quality of life. So the oral cavity can also serve as a service level diagnostic tool, as many systemic diseases have oral manifestations. So the condition of the tongue, including color, coating, sores, etc., can always offer clues about potential health issues. So changes in the appearance of your tongue can include nutritional deficiencies, oral thrush, or even other systemic diseases. For example, a really bright red tongue can indicate a scarlet fever or a vitamin B12 deficiency. So, as we saw in the previous slide, a lot of oral health is connected to systemic health. So, really monitoring the health of the gums and the tongue and teeth are really important to detecting signs of disease that can contribute to early diagnosis and early prevention of conditions. So, why is this important? So, oral diseases are a global health crisis. So, the WHO Global Oral Health Stats Report of 2022 estimated that oral diseases affect close to 3.5 billion people worldwide, with 3 out of 4 people living in middle income countries, and obviously a lot more living in, more third world countries, which is, like I said, those are really, poverty and income really affect your oral health. It's not just about brushing your teeth. It's about, a lot of people don't have access to proper products to oral hygiene. A lot of people don't have the education, or, the culture doesn't really have an emphasis on having white teeth or healthy, brushing habits. So there's a lot of determinants besides just, not brushing your teeth. And of course, malnutrition always, has an impact. So severe periodontal diseases are estimated to affect around 19% of the global adult population, and overall represents more than 1 billion cases worldwide, children and adults. Treatment for oral health conditions are very expensive and usually not part of universal health coverage, and most low and middle income countries don't have sufficient services available to treat and prevent oral health conditions. So oral diseases really disproportionately affect the poor and socially disadvantaged members of society. There is a really strong and consistent association between socioeconomic status, like income, occupation, and educational level, and the prevalence and severity of oral diseases. And this association or trend exists from early childhood all the way to, adult age and across populations. So the most common reason reported by parents for the inability to visit the dentist was expenses of the appointment and an inability to make an appointment. So unavailability of dental clinics in the area. And binary regression analysis showed that the inability to visit dental clinics when needed was significantly greater amongst children with lower parental education. And a lot of this has to do with, the individuals with lower education often have jobs where they really can't take a day off to take their children to the dentist because one day off is a loss of 1 day of wages. So it's just they're unable to take that time off. So additionally, work and time pressure has been shown to inhibit in dental attendance, and this was similarly observed in another case study in India. And another study by Obeda did not find that age and education level made a significant difference in the use of dental services. But, obviously these studies came from a range of locations. So that really shows that these barriers to oral health aren't universal. They can all differ from the location where the study was performed at, the country the study was performed in. So Obedat's study was done in Jordan, whereas the other two I referenced were done in India and Saudi Arabia. So, like, the location of the study really matters. These issues aren't universal, and every individual is affected in a different way. So, again, these were the main global barriers to oral health care. And like I said before, they're not universal. The impact of these barriers vary from person to person, but there are trends, and these barriers impact lower income populations the most, as they are disproportionately affected by oral diseases. So the main global barriers were high expenses, lack of insurance, lack of perceived need, availability of dental offices, transportation, fear of dental treatment, treatment preferences, and scheduling difficulties. So the burden of oral diseases and other NCDs, or non-communicable diseases, can be reduced through public health interventions by addressing common risk factors, like promoting a well-balanced diet, low in free sugars and high in fruit and vegetables, favoring water as the main drink, stopping, tobacco use and reducing alcohol consumption, as well as trying to promote adequate exposure to fluoride. And again, promoting healthy habits like brushing your teeth twice, etc. So the really important part is who you have teaching and promoting these educational programs. So in long-term, I trained, proved, and a different study in Zimbabwe assessed the effectiveness of a primary school oral health education over 3.5 years. And what they did was they just had they had teachers training oral health habits, and they saw that this had a very limited impact on lowering plaque levels, suggesting that you really need more trained professionals or a focus on parental education, because parents arguably impact their children's habits the most. So parental education is one that should probably be more focused on by trained individuals rather than, people that just learned it for the first time. So throughout my research, I really wanted to look at the intricate relationship between oral health and systemic well-being. And it's important to note, while there is evidence suggesting a connection between, poor oral hygiene and systemic diseases, establishing a direct cause and effect relationship is really difficult. Because again, your systemic health has to do with other factors like diet, lifestyles, genetic, etc. It's not just your oral health. So you can't say just because I have poor oral health, I have poor systemic health, or vice versa. So, but maintaining good oral health practices and like regular dental checkups, if possible, and effective plaque control is still really important, if not only for potentially reducing the risk for systemic diseases, but also to, because it has an impact on your quality of life. And addressing the big like lack of insurance, shortage of resources to ensure access to bridge gaps using community health. Acknowledging these problems, promoting preventative measures and awareness, and dismantling the biggest barriers are really essential steps towards lowering the global burden of oral diseases. And that's it. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. You're more than welcome to stop sharing your screen if you like. That was an incredible presentation. I love my dentist, so I'm very excited about the idea of other people feeling the same way. So excellent. Thank you so much. So up next, we
I
have.
can't figure out how to stop presenting, so if you could maybe like kick me off or something.
Yeah, let me see if I can. Let me try that. I'm going to put you in the rating room and then take you back, okay?
Sounds good. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. So next, we're going to be hearing from Vanessa Catalano on repairing the public health crisis in Venezuela.
Hi everyone, I'm Vanessa Catalano, and today I'm going to be presenting on my paper, Repairing the Public Health Crisis in Venezuela. As an overview, this is what I'm going to be doing in the structure of how I'm going to be doing it. I'm starting with my aim, then I'm doing methods, a literature review, and then wider implications. First, for context and aim. Venezuela is struggling with a multifaceted crisis encompassing environmental, economic, and health issues. The healthcare system in Venezuela is known as Barrio Adentro, and it's declining, leading to the deterioration of the health and well-being of its citizens. There's been a 15% drop in medical staff because healthcare professionals are leaving Venezuela and disease infections have skyrocketed due to shortages of essential drugs. Immediate harmful causes include low immunization rates, water contamination, and the effects of droughts, in addition to the corruption of the government. This paper explores these challenges in Venezuela's healthcare system and proposes solutions aimed at improving this public health. These proposals include the introduction of a water and food stamp program, the allocation of a reserved amount of clean water for hospitals, increased transparency in government spending, the mass production of drought-resistant crops, water recycling initiatives, and the expansion of wells and filtration systems. In this paper, Google Scholar served as my primary search engine, and there were 24 literary references. A substantial portion of the information was derived from The Lancet, a reputable medical journal founded in 1823. Additionally, the Center for Strategic and International Studies was a valuable research source for this paper. The research methodology encompassed a critical analysis of the existing flaws and detriments of the current Venezuelan healthcare system, Barrio Adentro. Through an extensive review of scholarly literature and data, solutions were explored with the aim of enhancing and improving this health system and the well-being of the Venezuelan population effectively. Venezuela's current healthcare system, Barrio Adentro, is leaving its citizens in poor health, starvation, and thirst, as well as being vulnerable to disease. This system is not getting the investment it needs to be able to supply citizens with their fundamental needs, like vaccines and water. This public health system is failing and misleading its citizens through a lack of promised investment in its healthcare system, as well as corruption. The system was meant to redress social inequities and revolutionize healthcare experiences. However, funds that were destined for the construction of hospitals and the purchase of medicines disappeared. Thus, there was a shortage of supplies in emergencies and a 72% shortage of supplies necessary for operating rooms in the first half of 2022. A solution would be to hold the government accountable for investing by showing the public the real transactions with the correct amount of money originally proposed with the system. In other words, providing citizens with a financial breakdown of government spending. This would lead to an increase in health and a rise in immunization rates due to an increase in resources such as vaccines and medication. In 2019, there were 470,000 cases of malaria in Venezuela, and over 100,000 Venezuelans have HIV but lack the necessary antiretroviral medication for treatment. The lack of necessary drugs and vaccines in Venezuela can cause the resurgence of yellow fever and many other diseases that cause death. An idea to improve immunization rates in Venezuela is accepting help from other countries and non-governmental organizations, specifically focusing on delivering water and improving sanitation and hygiene. For instance, the US reports that it provided at least 80 million to support non-governmental organizations and international organizations, specifically related to improving and delivering water, sanitation, and hygiene. However, thus far, Venezuela has refused help because their President Maduro and the government believe that it would allow the United States and other governments they view as hostile to have an opportunity to influence the Venezuelan citizens. Therefore, they're putting politics over public health. A solution would be accepting the assistance because it would allow Venezuela to have access to these fundamental supplies without causing further financial strain. This would save many lives, like people with HIV who can finally receive the treatment they deserve. Making vaccinations a more common practice would increase immunization rates because of new supplies, and it would improve Venezuela's health tremendously. Venezuela is also struggling due to the climate's effects of droughts. Venezuela's rainfall has measured 50 to 65% lower than normal, and production of agriculture, including main crops like rice and corn, has further plummeted approximately 60% within the last 20 years, and thus has further inflated the economy. This fall in agricultural production was followed by a significant nationwide weight loss of 24 pounds in 2017. A solution is the mass production of crops that don't need a lot of water and irrigation, only soil, to alleviate hunger and starvation rates, like lima beans, corn, quinoa, and squashes. This would be effective in Venezuela because it would lead to the mass production of more foods that are currently being overpriced and becoming a luxury, and it would feed and nourish more Venezuelans, many of whom are struggling from starvation. Furthermore, water and food stamps would be immensely effective in Venezuela because they would provide people with essentials that they are dying without. Additionally, improving the issue of water contamination would immensely benefit the Venezuelan population. 72% of Venezuela's inhabitants are exposed to the consumption of unsafe water due to inoperable water treatment plants, and nearly 8 out of 10 Venezuelans don't have continuous access to clean water for basic sanitation and drinking. The lack of clean water has also led to diarrhea, typhoid fever, tuberculosis, malaria, Zika virus, and hepatitis A. Furthermore, 79% of operating facilities in Venezuela don't have any access to water, and water contamination is leading to an increase in infection from waterborne diseases, especially in children. I propose repairing and building more wells in Venezuela and filtering them to allow for an increase in water production, and the recycling of water to be used for necessities like growing crops. Moreover, I think that a certain amount of water should be reserved for hospitals across Venezuela because both patients and healthcare workers are in dire need of this implementation. Lastly, I'll end with wider implications. The degradation of Venezuela's healthcare system is alarming, and the responsibility for implementing positive change rests upon the global community. The solutions in my paper serve as a foundation for revitalizing the healthcare system and emphasize the urgent need for intervention and reform. Ultimately, these efforts promote and lead to better health and quality of life for Venezuelan citizens. These citizens, both adults and children, are suffering and dying because they are stuck in a broken healthcare system which they can't control. The dire state of Venezuela's public health system calls for a multifaceted approach with solutions that address immediate concerns. The relevance of this paper lies in its potential to alleviate the suffering of the people of the Venezuelan population through the repairing of this patio adentro health system and fostering a healthier future for Venezuela. Thank you so much.
Amazing. Excellent job. I think that probably a lot of other countries would be lucky if you did a similar bit of research for them. So great job. I hope that this, makes an impression on the powers that be, your argument and others. Awesome. Thank you so much. Next, we have a project by Alicia Lee on food for thought.
Yes, thank you. So hi everyone, thank you so much for being here. Let me first share my screen to presentation. All right. Okay, cool. Loading. All right, so my name is Alicia Lee, and today I'll be presenting on my project, Food for Thought. It's a project focused on reducing food waste in homes to protect the environment. So how did this come about? I've always been passionate about environmental issues ever since my 5th grade homeroom teacher signed our class up to participate in the Billion Oyster Project. The project sought to return and restore oyster reefs in the New York Harbor so they can continue to be safe habitats for hundreds of species. Now, a couple years ago, I was introduced to the topic of food waste, and I became deeply interested, as it's not the first thing to come to mind when people think about climate change. Most people immediately come up with like greenhouse gases or pollution. So the idea for this project actually arose from a pattern that occurs often in my home. We'll buy items from the grocery store, but then forget about them while they're tucked away in tall cabinets or in the back of the fridge. By the time we rediscover them, it's already too late, the food is expired, and we have to throw it out. I recognize that this waste could be easily prevented if there was just a systematic way of tracking food expiration dates. And I created just that. So Food for Thought centers around an educational workshop on food waste, as well as my AI model, Smart Fridge, a food tracking website. First, my interactive workshop explores the ins and outs of food waste, what it is, why it's such an important problem to tackle, and some ways that we, as consumers, can help mitigate the problem in our own homes. So we start with definitions. After all, what's the point of learning about something if you don't know exactly what it is? We then explore how food actually arrives at our tables and how large amounts of it are wasted in the process. It's truly hard to grasp the consequences and impacts of food waste on our environment. About 1/3 of all produced foods ends up wasted, and when it decomposes in landfills, releases 1/3 of all produced methane. So we've all heard of cow farts producing methane, but not food waste, right? I believe educational awareness goes a long way, and this workshop is fun. I initiate class discussions so students can voice their own opinions, and it's not just a lecture. I include many actionable items that students can implement right away. Turns out there are so many creative ways to prevent waste, including repurposing leftovers or freezing excess food. But don't worry, you'll also learn that donating and composting are great ways of dealing with inevitable waste. So here's a fun PBS video about food insecurity. And right after we dive into the effects of food waste, students can play a fun Kahoot to see what they've learned. I hope that when they go home, they'll be more curious and considerate about what food they trash. Now, an important part of this workshop is introducing my AI model, Smart Fridge. I designed Smart Fridge as an easily accessible, logical way of tracking what food you have at home. This way, you'll never forget about anything. All right, so let me stop my share and actually share the actual website for Smart Fridge. Cool. So hopefully you can see that this is the main interface of Smart Fridge. So right now I actually have the site in 2 languages, English and Chinese. You can switch between the two with this tab, but obviously I'll stick with English for now.
We
So
can't
first,
quite see it yet. Oh, okay.
Oh.
Here it is. Here it is. It's up. Thank you.
restart then. Okay, so first, you can switch between the 2 languages with this tab. I'll stick with English for obvious reasons. Now, our list actually it's not anything yet, so we have to add our food first. So we go to the second tab here, and it will open up this page. You can either choose to upload a photo of your fridge with the recognize fridge function, or you can use a receipt. First, I'll do the photo option. So I'm just gonna input a cartoon photo of a fridge. All right, like this. And then once you click recognize fridge, loading for a little bit. All right, so all the food items identified will appear in your list. So we have 5 things here. The AI assigns it a food ID, a name, puts it into a food category, calculates a shelf life, and finally sets an expiration date based on the time of input. Now let's try the same thing with a receipt. I'll also be using a cartoon receipt for this demonstration. Okay, let's see. And this time we just click the recognize receipt instead of the recognize fridge. All right, cool. So here are all our items that we got from our receipt. And we see that all of them have been added to our food list. So with our food list complete, Smart Fridge can also recommend recipes. You can select as many ingredients as you'd like. Let's say we have chicken and cherry tomatoes, and let's just use those two for now. Okay, and click View Menu to see all recipes. So the AI will recommend recipes that try not to use other ingredients and also use as much of the selected ingredients as possible. So here our first option is grilled chicken and cherry tomato skewers. You could also have a chicken salad with cherry tomatoes, and the AI also gives you all the instructions for making these recipes. You can also just click all menus. Let's unclick these two. All menus to give you recipes based on any items in your food list if you're looking for something to eat. So let's see. Loading. All right, cool. So it tells us that with our ingredients that we have in our fridge, you can make a tuna and tomato salad, you can make a chicken and cheese wrap, and there are a lot of recipes here. All right. So this is especially helpful, the recipe function, when trying to consume almost expired items, because you can just click the ones that are about to expire and it will tell you how to use them. You can also just select all menus for recipes using any items in your food list if you're just hungry and don't know what to eat. Okay, so let's go back to our presentation. Please let me know if you can't see it so I can wait until it fully loads. All right. Can you see it? Cool, great. All right, so this whole process though didn't come without obstacles. The first challenge I encountered was a matter of outreach. I'm looking to first launch my workshop to local schools in the Bronx where I live. New York City struggles with food waste and food insecurity as a whole, especially in the Bronx, where 39% of adults have limited access to adequate food. I think starting in my own community could be a great start. I reached out to the Bronx Educational Board to introduce my workshop, but haven't received a response yet, unfortunately. So to take a different approach and outreach, I plan on using presentations like this and also publishing an article in the Legacy Gazette regarding my project. So I encountered my second major challenge when training my AI model. At first, I was manually categorizing items using pictures from my own fridge. I then started asking friends and others for pictures of their fridges, but this manual collection of data was really tedious and really not effective. But to solve this issue, I gathered a larger database and used all kinds of online photos from cartoon foods, as we saw before, to badly lit fridges to make training more efficient. Additionally, I incorporated ChatGPT to help with the identification of items. ChatGPT-4 specifically has the ability to synthesize and process images, which proved extremely helpful for training. All right, so a few of my next steps. I'll continue to expand this project in the next 6 months, year, however long. I'm happy to announce that I'll be formally launching my workshop at a school event for Earth Day in about 2 weeks. By the end of the year and over the summer, I hope to branch out to other schools in the neighborhood as well. I also see myself presenting this workshop online in the future so that participants from all over can attend. My workshop is also suitable for those of all ages, so hosting an online session would be a lot more convenient. Regarding Smart Fridge, the AI model, I'd like to expand its accessibility to other languages so that, well, more people can use it. Additionally, I'd like to incorporate other methods of inputting foods, such as letting users manually add items using text or voice, and also having them take individual photos of each item for the maximum accuracy. This would make the process even more streamlined and encourage more users to use Smart Fridge habitually. The AI itself also isn't perfect. I'm hoping that with more data and therefore more training, Smart Fridge can just get better and better. So my workshop and an accessible version of Smart Fridge is linked on my website here. There's also my email if you have any questions. I'm also happy to answer any questions here. Thank you so much.
Excellent. Fantastic. Anybody who wants to take a screenshot, make sure you do before it goes away. That is a fantastic project. I would love to follow along and hear more about it. I would be really bad at food waste if I didn't just make us like a rush at the end to just throw something together.
Yeah, exactly.
It would be great to have menus for that last ditch effort.
Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you
Hope
so
it
much.
helps. I hope it helps. Of course. Okay, I'm gonna stop sharing. Hopefully, whoever wants information can get it. All right. Thank you so much.
Yes. And if you weren't able to get it, you can just let me know and I'll send it to you after. Anybody can just send me something in the chat. Same thing for questions. Okay. So next we have a presentation on a paper by Linda Luo.
Okay, hello. All right. Okay. Good morning. My name is Linda Law, and my research is on the current and developing treatments on the epidermal growth factor receptor, also known as EGFR, for non-small cell lung cancer. So while completing this research paper, my main goal was to understand and identify the most common and current treatments for non-small cell lung cancer, and also investigate EGFR's impact on non-small cell lung cancer. So in regards to how I approached my research, I began with understanding the fundamental biology behind the development of all cancers. And then I moved on to identifying more specific cancers that I wanted to research, which in this case was non-small cell lung cancer. And then I screened and reviewed literature, mainly from Google Scholar, and I wrote my academic paper on this topic. Okay. So briefly introducing some background information on my research, lung cancer is one of the most deadly types of cancers that has projected over 100,000 deaths in 2022. And the study focuses on the most prevalent types of lung cancer, which is non-small cell lung cancer. And most specifically with this research, I studied the EGFR protein that is involved with cell signaling pathways, which basically controls the way that cells reproduce. And for this type of cancer, the most common treatments are chemotherapy, radiation therapy, target therapy, and immunotherapy, all of which are disadvantaged by drug resistance, which is when cancer cells are able to develop immunity to drugs that are trying to get rid of the cells. Moving on to the epidermal growth pathway receptor, EGFR is a protein that controls how cells divide and die. So mutations to this protein can cause cells to divide abnormally, leading to cancerous tumors. In non-small cell lung cancer, specifically, EGFR mutations occur commonly at around 32.3% of the time. The main form of treatment for this mutation is currently using tyrosine kinase inhibitors, which stop the growth of the tumors produced by the EGFR mutations. Okay, during the most early stages of non-small cell lung cancer, surgery is often used to remove the tumors. During the later stages, however, the following treatments are proposed to be used and are usually used in combination. So chemotherapy is a treatment that uses drugs to kill fast-growing cells inside the body. Radiation therapy uses high beam energy to destroy the DNA in cancer cells and stop growing them. Target therapy uses drugs like chemotherapy, but is more precise in that it only targets the body's cancer cells rather than the healthy cells. Immunotherapy boosts the body's immune system to effectively get rid of the cancer cells more naturally. And these are the main treatments of non-small cell lung cancer, but are not limited to these. Here are some newly proposed treatments by professionals for non-small cell lung cancer. Firstly, there's chimeric antigen receptor T cell therapy, which is also known as CAR T cell therapy, which shows promises in treating blood cancer. CAR T cell therapy engineers target T cells to target specific antigens within the body. However, issues arise due to the tumor microenvironment, which suppresses many attempts for the T cells to enter the tumors. By engineering a single chain fragment for CAR T cell therapy to target mesothelin, which is prevalent in non-small cell lung cancer tumors, it would be better for treating non-small cell lung cancer. And next, there's CRISPR-Cas9, also known as clustered regularly interspaced short palindromic repeats associated protein 9. It works by manipulating the genome. So professionals believe that CRISPR-Cas9 could be used with the CAR T cell therapy to help resist the tumor microenvironment. And lastly, personal molecular surgery can also be used to repair and destroy the EGFR mutations using virus delivered from the CRISPR-Cas9 system. And in conclusion, the most common treatments for non-small cell lung cancer include chemotherapy, radiation therapy, target therapy, and immunotherapy, despite drug resistance being a prevalent issue. And additionally, new innovative technologies such as CAR T therapy and CRISPR-Cas9 technology have also shown promising results in targeting EGFR and the immunosuppressive tumor environments. Thank you for listening.
Thank you so much. That was wonderful. Are you hoping to be a doctor someday? Okay, awesome. I can tell. I think you're going to be great at it. Thank you so much for presenting. Next, our last student presentation, to be followed by our announcement of the winners of the IdeAction Global Pitch Competition. We have William Lin.
It's on examining the effects of the process of fracking on the groundwater supplies and analyzing the data near the fracking sites of various United States fracking locations. Insert shows. So fracking technology is essentially the process of drilling downwards and then outwards to extract natural gas and oil from bedrock. So the goal of this paper is to address the environmental and climate threat, particularly in relation to the supply of groundwater from proliferation of fracking wells. Groundwater is a large source of both water that's used in agricultural and just drinking supply. So naturally, it's a large concern. We also evaluated the surge in the consumption and contamination mainly through the process of fracking. So it's just a literature review to study this research finding on the fracking consumption issues water, then to provide the comprehensive data analysis of the water consumption by the fracking well at national and state level, and then also explore the relationship between the water consumption and factors of the vertical depth of wells and chemical reason of fracking fluid and how they may affect whether they contaminate or just consume it in general. So data we use of the registered data available as of October 2023 from frackfocus.org, as well as on the fracking wells that are present nationwide. Data analysis, we employ data analysis and machine learning techniques such as reinforcement models to explore and identify wells that have a high likelihood of potentially causing a water contamination. So for literature review, we focused on searches from academic journals such as the Environmental Science and Technology and United States EPA. We use keywords such as fracking, groundwater contamination, pollution in the United States, health, leaching, and aquifers to research. And using this, we identified and read 52 research. And as for the results, drilling wells were linked to high concentrations of methane in the water supply of drinking wells near the drilling wells for natural gas. Several harmful compounds have also been detected in the wells near fracking sites in the Barnett Shale region, Texas, especially, including methanol, ethanol, chloromethane, and other various. In addition, the process of fracking is one that consumes a large amount of water and potentially limits the use of groundwater in various regions, including in the Barnett Shale region of Texas, where agriculture is another common thing, and both of them place a very big strain on the groundwater supply, as they're both very water-intensive processes. Agriculture using water naturally to grow crops, and fracking, since it requires water to flush out the or to both create a hole that gets down to the gas and flush the fluid out, since it's required to in the process of preventing contamination, or at least the attempts to prevent contamination. Based on the 174,685 wells registered historically, on the total depth is about 8,800 feet, and the 75th percentile DVD total vertical depth is between 6,928 feet and 10,758 feet. The mean total water volume used is about 6.24 million gallons per well, and the 75th percentile water consumption per well is between 1.48 million and 13.6 million gallons. In particular, there is wells referred to as monster fracks, which are wells that consume very large amounts of water relative to the area supply, which often causes shortages, especially if there are other groundwater intensive processes occurring in the area, such as agriculture or just very large populations, such as in near city regions. In the regression, we found that the total vertical depth of a well is a significant factor to explain how much water is consumed by a well. There's a positive correlation of 2.6 between two factors, and we can see that often deeper wells require more water consumption. Naturally, as deeper the well, the more water required is to get the initial holes that the natural gas is extracted from, as well as simply to just get through it. So using a work map to show beneath the ingredients used in the fracking fluid that is used to extract it. You can see water is the largest used by far, as water is used as a very large ingredient in fracking. Other ingredients that are also used are various acids, sodium, alcohol, and chloride. It's cluster analysis to group wells for numerical and categorical variables available, and we use a random forest model to predict the likelihood an operating firm will cause a water contamination incident. And for conclusion, while fracking has brought significant economic benefits to the United States, it has also provided a threat to both the groundwater supply and quality of the regions that it is used in. So to enhance these predictive models to try and identify potential problematic wells, and we should try to be vigilant as to processes and how the various processes we use in daily life affected groundwater supplies in order to not deplete the water aquifers.
Thank you so much. Excellent job. Fracking can be a scary word, but I'm glad that you brought it out and handled the data for us in a way that's a little less scary, but also still shows its importance. So thank you very much, William. That was wonderful. Okay. Now on to the part of the festivities that I imagine many of you are waiting for. So let me pull up my own presentation to share. Okay, so this award ceremony is for the April to November 2024 funding cycle. So just some quick stats on this funding cycle. This is the second run of our global IdeAction pitch competition, and the winners of this competition get funding. The total funds requested via the competition entries was approximately 54 grand. The total funds awarded, which is the typical amount for our funding cycle, was 5 grand. So all applications are reviewed holistically and separately by 2 limited partners who evaluate each application independently. Consensus on the funding decision and the amount is then reached among limited partners. The general partner reviews all recommendations by limited partners to determine final funding decisions and amounts. So our first award is for Aqua Guardian, a project by Amy Zhang. So she says, my project is designing and manufacturing drown rescue equipment that delivers high accuracy and timeliness rescue with a handheld launcher and a motorized floating sphere. In May 2023, after drafting more than 6 versions of the product for Aqua Guardian, the digital and physical experimental models were designed and produced based on the final draft, and experiments were carried out on these models. In August 2023, a proposal for a patent for this project was sent to China National Intellectual Property Administration. And eventually, Amy received a patent certificate in March 2024, officially proving her design as an invention. A big portion of the fund will be used to transform experimental models to industrial products, enabling us to seek and establish partnerships with manufacturers as third-party producers for the initial stage of small-scale production and selling. And a small portion of the fund will be used in proposals for more patents, assisting Amy in fortifying competitive advantages. So the award amount for this project was $700. Next, we have Seniorability by Annie Q. Our vision, she says, is to empower and enhance the lives of seniors by pioneering innovative, user-friendly tools that promote independence, safety, and well-being at home and on the go. She envisions a future where aging is accompanied by accessible, thoughtfully designed solutions that enable seniors to lead fulfilling and active lives with dignity and comfort. The description of her product is that it's dedicated to designing and developing innovative tools that enhance the daily lives for seniors. The initial focus is on a series of assistive devices designed to help seniors with morning routines, including getting up, wearing shoes, and providing support for walking. So her proposed target market includes seniors aged 65 and above who may experience challenges in their regular morning routines and walking. Additionally, caregivers, family members, and healthcare professionals who seek reliable solutions to enhance the well-being of seniors are also part of her target audience. And Annie wins $700 as her award amount for this project. Congratulations, Annie. Now we have Catherine Ma's project, Bridging Generations. So Bridging Generations is a multimedia project spotlighting the voices of Chinese Canadians, particularly in the context of familial dynamics of mainland Chinese immigrant parents versus Canadian race children from those households. Over the next 6 months, she hopes to first release a second public documentary on unconventional career prospects and how they're viewed by first-generation Chinese Canadian parents. Then she'd like to host an in-person pay-to-enter screening event or exhibition. It will include a screening of the first documentary, Chinese Canadians, Second Gen versus Immigrant Parents, and the second documentary, which is still in the works. A guided discussion on viewers' thoughts, and a showcase of art from the Artist in Residency program, as well as selected items representing each of her interviewees. Third, she'd like to recruit other team members that continue to expand the project in accounting, event planning, and logistics. So if this seems interesting to you, make sure you take a screenshot of the project and I can help you get into contact to help Catherine if you wish. And Catherine is awarded $500 for the award amount for Bridging Generations. Congratulations, Catherine. Next, we have Hope for Hearing by Daniel Ching. Hope for Hearing is a student-led nonprofit organization dedicated to supporting individuals affected by hearing loss. Their purpose is clear: to raise both funds and awareness for this cause. Through a variety of initiatives, including charity musical concerts, performances at retirement homes, and local snack shop operations, they've worked diligently to achieve their goals. And those efforts have not only generated funds, but also helped to cultivate understanding and support within his community. Our most notable achievement thus far, he says, has been surpassing our fundraising goal of 10 grand before 2024. These funds are channeled directly into Sunnybrook's Cochlear Department, where they support critical research and development efforts in the field of hearing loss. And so we're happy to award the Hope for Hearing Project $500. Thank you, Danielle. Okay, next we have The Green Society by Victor Chu. So this organization is a student-led nonprofit organization aimed at spreading environmental awareness through environmental workshops and annual environmental writing contests held on the international scale. The purpose of the organization is to educate young people about the consequences of the current climate crisis, as well as inspiring and encouraging them to create change within their own communities. The goal of the Green Society is to reach a team of more than 50 motivated students and environmental change makers in order to inspire thousands of students worldwide. We need funding, he says, to offer prizes for our contests and to invite special guest speakers for our environmental workshops. The rest of the funding they receive will be donated to environmental charities and funds or invested into green tech companies. So we are happy to offer an award of $400 to Victor's Green Society. Thank you very much for an excellent project. Okay, now we have the Wise Charity Fund by Matt Zhang. And this project focuses on funding newly made student organizations while teaching its members the basics of the stock market. They host events to generate money and then invest the money back into the stock market to generate a profit. With the profit and a bit of the money originally used to invest, they donate back to newly made student organizations. There are currently 7 members in the fund, and this low number of recruited students ensures that the organization will be a group of tightly knitted people who get to know each other on a personal level and thus can better cooperate. In addition, he says the low number of recruited students makes decision-making matters much easier to handle without as many different opinions. Currently, they've hosted one event called Demystifying Wall Street Jobs with around 30 participants in the event, and they were able to generate over $100 in that event. Through donations, stock profits, and the event, we were able to grow, he says, the initial 500 to almost 2,000. In addition, they've so far provided funding for 4 clubs and 1 student project, up to a total of $825. So we are happy here at LIL to return the favor and send some money to your organization, Matt. So your award amount will be $300 from this year's fund total. Thank you. Next, we have Cognitive Compass Connections by Lydia Sun. So Lydia's nonprofit is a mission to make an impact on the lives of individuals suffering from Alzheimer's disease. Currently, their achievements include raising over $1,300 at their very first fundraiser, which consisted of a pop-up thrift store and selling baked goods for the play at her school. We have also been selected by CYCS, she says, to be represented at the National Competition for Student-Run Nonprofits. They currently want to spread to 5 countries by the end of 2024 through recruiting over 20 chapter heads by sending more emails to more schools and nonprofits. CCC has also started their own business, Glow Memo, which is a candle making business, and all of its funds are denoted towards research and aid on Alzheimer's disease. With this business, they hope to raise $10,000 by the end of 2024. And the LIL Venture Fund will be contributing $300 to that goal amount. So thank you, Lydia. We're happy to help support your project. Now we have Danny Huang, whose project is called Enable Together. Enable Together is a transformative website dedicated to helping individuals with disabilities find jobs. At Enable Together, they aim to promote social sustainability by addressing 3 deep-rooted demands within this problem: providing a simple application process, increasing the variety of positions available for job seekers with disabilities, and fostering a culture of social sustainability within the hiring process and the workplace. By the end of the second quarter of this year, they would like to kick off website development efforts, working with companies like Somo to help bring the vision of the platform to life. Further, they would sift through networking sites like LinkedIn and job posting sites like Indeed to build a corporate network of potential candidates for our pitches. Finally, by the end of the 4th quarter, they would like to finalize and deploy the site, along with pitching the idea to the network of corporate clients they developed. Moving forward, most of their efforts will be dedicated toward marketing and building further connections as outlined in their pitch. And thank you for pitching it. We are happy to add $300 to your attempt to get some more funds by making some more connections. So thank you, Danny. And now we have Panavision by Sophia Peng. So Panavision is an innovative smart home product designed to reduce household food waste. She recruited 3 students of diverse skill sets to help with the venture. And she says with access to capital, they plan to create and order product prototypes and adjust their financial projections accordingly. And they hope to also patent Panavision. So we are happy to contribute $250 towards achieving that goal from the LIL Venture Fund. Thank you, Sophia. Now we have a project by Drew Sansing called Friend in Need. So with the help of my Angetti partners, another version of the name, I'm now embarking on a new initiative, he says, to revolutionize autism awareness and treatment in Cameroon by establishing the nation's first institute to provide professional training in applied behavior analysis and evidence-based behavioral therapy that is America's leading treatment for autism. It is endorsed by the AAP and the AMA, but it's unknown in Cameroon and virtually non-existent in Africa. So Drew's group plans to launch the ABA Institute in Douala. Classes will be taught by USC's Master of Science in Applied Behavior Analysis program. So a really great collaboration here for a great cause. LIL is happy to give out a $200 award for this project. Congratulations, Drew. Okay, now we have a project from Ziyang Zhang called the Robot Project. So they form a team of 5 focusing on designing a product to help old people carrying their purchases from groceries upstairs. Currently, they've finished a successful prototype that can actually lift 20 kilograms. They've written a paper describing it and also created a business plan for it. They intend to patent the product, build a prototype that can actually carry 40 kilograms in goods, go to 3 to 5 different communities and gather at least 20 types of feedback from senior users. And for this project, LIL is happy to contribute $200. That is your award amount, and thank you so much. Okay, now we also want to award one of the incredible presentations that we saw today, which is Food for Thought. And so Alicia's project, as we now know, centers around an interactive food waste workshop designed to help users minimize food waste. It consists of a user-friendly interface to track food and its expiration dates. Once users create an account, they can either input data through a photo or shopping receipt. The model compiles a list of those items, assigns expiration dates, and then organizes everything by that date. And users can choose to be notified. So in the next 6 months, she plans to expand the functionalities of the smart fridge and incorporate 3 additional ways of adding to or identifying items in the refrigerator. So as she told us earlier, she hopes to increase the accessibility through adding other languages. She hopes to market the model to other regions and countries correspondingly. And as the number of users increase, she hopes to refine the algorithm to train the AI model more efficiently using a larger database, reducing the cost per user over time. She also plans to formally launch her workshop. If her outreach is successful in the next few months, she'll be able to present in the summer, which we certainly hope she can. So the award amount we would like to give to Alicia is $200 to help her project progress. Thank you so much, Alicia. Okay, now we've got a project called Hack Post Guide by Alex Wang. So it was developed to consolidate resources for hackathons and foster a community passionate about creating things. The resource hub is designed to resemble scratch.mit.edu and dev.to. It was made using Next.js, Firebase, and NextUI. It is hosted on Vercel, and it's currently in an early development phase. The website was just launched a while back, and they hope to grow it to hundreds of users and connect hackathons around the world. So we are happy to award Alex with $150 to go towards the project. Thank you very much. We also are happy to award an amount to Prep Pages. which is Michael Zhu's project. And Prep Pages is a nonprofit organization based in Bellevue, Washington. They're passionate about providing college prep materials and services to individuals so they can succeed academically and professionally. Their platform offers access to prep books, study guides, and resources to enhance learning and prepare for college admissions exams. They believe in equal access to education and support students in achieving their academic goals. Inspired by social movements of the past, they began in 2023 when a few community members decided they wanted to make an impact. Pretty quickly, this singular moment evolved into a full-fledged movement. Their education movement challenges the status quo, holding their leaders accountable and fighting for solutions that will transform society. One part of the funding award will be used to acquire more college prep books to expand access for individuals in need. The other part will be used for organizing future events and strategic planning and fundraising efforts. So we are happy to contribute to those goals, an award of $150. Congratulations, Michael. Now we have a project from Sarah Zhao, the Happiness Gallery, and it's a project that aims to explore the concept of happiness from different perspectives. Inspired by the project Museums of Broken Relationships, a gallery in Croatia featuring objects donated by split couples. My initial idea, she says, was to create a gallery form of exhibition where she would collect short pieces of stories about happiness from strangers and share them to the audience like a museum collection. These stories enable us to explore a range of philosophical questions. Is happiness instantaneous or eternal? Can happiness be measured? Can money buy happiness? Does happiness, described by Aristotle as the ultimate end, mean something different for everyone? She hopes to hold a small public exhibition in Shenzhen or even other cities in China, whilst displaying stories and articles that the Happiness Gallery has already collected in the form of posters. They also hope to call for donations of objects that represent moments of happiness or an understanding of happiness. So this is a very cool project, Sarah, and we are happy to award it $150 from the LIL Venture Fund. Congratulations. Congratulations to all the awardees altogether. You will receive information on disbursement of your funds and monitoring procedures shortly, so stay tuned. And special thanks to our limited partners, Clover Zhang, John Komite, Justin Pang, Vishnu Anand, Aaron Zhang, Ivy Chazang, Aaron Bayal, Isabella Hu, Matt Zhang, Danny Huang, and Andrew Pan. Thank you very much for all of your hard work as well with this selection. Okay, everyone. Thank you so very much for attending our showcase. We are thrilled to have had you, and hopefully we will see you again through various parts of the LIL program. We have a very vast ecosystem, and we are excited when anybody can participate in any of it. So thank you very much, and congratulations again to all of our presenters and awardees.